Hello everyone, we're standing here at World Hydrogen Week, organized by World Hydrogen Leaders. My name is Johann Wiebe, Executive Director from the Hydrogen Standard. And with me here today stands Anna Haase from Aquaterra Energy. Welcome, Anna.
Thanks very much, it's great to be here.
Well, it's fantastic to have you as well. So Aquaterra Energy, tell us about the business.
Okay, we were founded in 2005 and we basically involved ourselves in the heritage oil and gas sector. I was brought in to head up the Renewables division. We cover floating wind, green hydrogen production and carbon capture. We're headquartered in the UK. 80% of our business is actually done outside the UK, so effectively kind of like internationalisation and mobile projects are absolutely in our DNA. We've got about 136 people and our key competence is offshore energy engineering.
Thank you. Offshore energy engineering, interesting. Let's delve down to the topic and relevance here today. So the offshore hydrogen production is in your forte, is that correct?
Well, we'd like to think so. We kind of think we're reasonably advanced in that marketplace. I mean, the marketplace that we're looking at is probably 10 to 15 to 20 years in the future. But I think as we move away from a cluster mentality with respect to the transition and move towards a more connected one, we've effectively got a big export marketplace there. So we have all the electrons within the North Sea that need to be, leveraged, brought in and transformed in some way that's transportable. So as soon as we have the transmission network in place, which is a foundational element of this, we absolutely believe that offshore green hydrogen production is the way to bring down LCOH and scale, to operate at scale.
Scaling, very important. We'll come to that in a moment. But before we go there, can you tell us a little bit about sort of the differences, maybe the challenges and the opportunities offshore versus sort of onshore hydrogen production?
Okay. I mean, onshore effectively needs space. You need a lot of land mass. It's not something that the Netherlands really has, or, and there's not a lot of free land mass in the UK either. So one of the key elements is space. The other part is there's a lot of individuals, communities, organisations, etc., that really don't want to see this, in their backyard. So from a permitting, consents, etc. perspective, there is quite a lot of constraints there. Similarly, there's still constraints in the offshore sector. We don't have a regulatory framework that we can import hydrogen, from offshore to onshore. There's certain elements around safety, such as who would be the operator of such a plant offshore, who would own the safety case. So all these things need to be worked out. But some of the key elements on the offshore, from an offshore perspective, are we can place the hydrogen assets where the electrons are, and we can cheaply transport them onshore through a gas infrastructure and network.
So supposedly there are some advantages on the aspect of levelized cost of hydrogen production doing it offshore.
Absolutely. The scale completely transforms what the cost profile looks like. From our models, when we're going through the feasibility studies, etc., with different clients and operators and transmission owners, what we're coming out with is that 70% of the overall project cost is associated with effectively electron production. So cheap electricity makes cheap hydrogen. However, per unit of hydrogen, the more you scale it, the more the capex can be spread. So the less effectively it costs. So capex is far less of an issue than the actual OPEX associated with the electricity production.
And then you mentioned scaling. Can you tell us about scaling and the advantages or opportunities or challenges there?
Absolutely. So some of the projects that we're looking at the moment, we're looking at basically coupling an dedicated offshore wind park with its own hydrogen production facilities where there's no connection to grid. So all of the electricity from that particular wind park has been transformed into electricity. Now, what we can do, because the North Sea is absolutely an electron powerhouse, we can treat these platforms almost like cookie cutter models. You start off with your foundational element, your initial input from the wind farm, and then start to farm in potentially other wind parks as they develop. And then we build out a number of platforms. The sky is the limit. The sky is absolutely the limit. So we're looking at models where you've probably got between 500 to 700 megawatts per platform. So you could quite easily transform 1, 2, 3 gigs of wind power into hydrogen reasonably easily. And I say reasonably easily. I know it's hard. It looks great. It looks great at the moment. But, we know that these projects are difficult.
So quickly jumping in there, the North Sea is an electron powerhouse. I like that. Talking about a powerhouse, the power sort of on these projects and the way they're designed, is that always focused on wind and offshore wind, or is there also other ways, alternative ways to get the green power?
Yeah, I mean, there's different delivery models that we're looking at. We're looking at purely H2 production with no connection to grid. We're also looking at models where we've got like battery power on there, so we can actually harvest some of the molecules that effectively would be surplus and potentially be wasted. And there's other projects potentially where the business delivery model means that we can turn down some of the H2 production when electricity buy prices are potentially higher, so the operator can make more money. So those are the types of models that we're working with at the moment. It depends on the project.
Yeah, no, all good. So different models, different options. Anna Haase from Aquaterra Energy, thank you very much.
Thank you.